brothers and sisters, welcome to the annual Kermode Uncut conference. And first on the agenda is an item which many of you have raised, which is my failure to see Scott Pilgrim versus the World. As you know, I was away when Scott Pilgrim opened. Boyd and Floyd were on the Radio 5 show and I didn't see it. And many of you wrote in saying, Mark, you have been sorely negligent. Well, I have now seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and I'm able to give you my full findings on the issue of whether it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down. When I came out of the cinema, I tweeted 3 words, which were Howard the Duck. And this has provoked a number of very strange responses. Many of people on the Twitter saying, oh, Howard, how can you say Howard the Duck? I love Scott Pilgrim versus the World. It can't surely be as bad as Howard the Duck. Some other people, however, have noticed that, in fact, if you look at my record on Howard the Duck, I'm a big fan of Howard the Duck. And the more I think about it, the more I think that Scott Pilgrim is the Howard the Duck of its day. Look at the evidence. Firstly, they both have a comic book source. Secondly, they both aimed for a wide audience, which demonstrably they both failed to achieve. Scott Pilgrim did very badly in America and is not doing very much better here in the UK. I have to say that I went to see it in Southampton on a Sunday afternoon, and there were about 10 other people in the cinema with me, and I was the person who was laughing. Thirdly, look at the budget. Howard the Duck cost round about $35 million and took about 16. It took about half as much as it cost. Scott Pilgrim cost anywhere between 60, 80, maybe $90 million, and it took something so far like $40 million. So again, it looks like it's only going to half make back what it cost. And as you know, the way that movie financing works, in order for a movie to break even, a movie really has to take twice what it cost, not half what it cost. And yet, there is, in Howard the Duck and in Scott Pilgrim, the potential for real, genuine, long-lasting cult success. When I first saw Howard the Duck, I saw it with a good friend of mine called Tim Polecat, lead singer of the band The Polecats, as you might have guessed from his name. I remember being in the cinema with us and a few other people, 2 of whom I think were nuns, and me and Tim laughing our heads off, finding the whole thing hugely amusing, being thrilled that somebody had spent so much money making something which had so little appeal to a mainstream audience, and particularly delighting in the moment in which Howard the Duck straps on a guitar and does the Chuck Berry duck walk. But even as we left the cinema, we knew the film was going to fail. I have since cherished my copy of Howard the Duck, and in fact, its failure has made it all the more charming. In the case of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, I went in there knowing that it hadn't done well with the mainstream audience, but knowing that I like Edgar Wright and knowing that I like the idea of the movie. And as the movie played out in the cinema in which I was watching it, the more other people didn't enjoy it, the more I was able to get into the film.
Does she know me?
What is she talking about?
He really doesn't know.
Wait. You and her?
It was just a phase.
Just a phase?
You had a sexy face?
It meant nothing. I didn't think it would count.
It meant nothing?
I was just a little bi-curious.
Well, honey, I'm a little bi-furious.
But the key thing with Scott Pilgrim versus the World is that it is, like Howard the Duck, one of those genuine examples of a cult movie by accident. People who make cult movies on purpose don't make cult movies, they make bad movies. Piranha 3D, all the Troma movies. Those are movies that want to be cult movies, but they aren't. Genuine cult movies are movies which try to be popular mainstream hits, but somehow are so squiff, so off balance, so offbeat, so strange, so quirky, so against the mainstream that they don't find that audience, and yet later on, people embrace them. Showgirls, incidentally, has become a genuine cult hit. Plan 9 from Outer Space, which Ed Wood thought was going to be his best movie, has become a genuine cult hit. As far as I'm concerned, Scott Pilgrim versus the World is a genuine cult hit in the way that Howard the Duck was. It cost a load, it lost a lot, it's not going to be embraced by the mainstream, but you know what? I really like it.
I dislike you, capiche?
Tell it to the cleaning lady on Monday.
What?
Because you'll be dust by Monday. Because you'll be pulverized in 2 seconds. And the cleaning lady, she cleans up. Dust. She dusts.